Happy Friday, everybody. It is that time again, coming to you from our normal time this time to talk about exactly what is happening in the market as Bitcoin and ETH and everything's just been correcting, right? And people are wondering what's going on, where is it going to end, what's happening in the market. Well, we're here to update you on all of that. Have a good time and just talk about what's next, right? Because on this channel, we're playing chess and we're getting positioned as best as possible for what is going to be or shaping up to be one of the most historic rallies ever in crypto history, right? So a lot happened since yesterday. The PPI data came out very hot, much higher than expected, and caused this massive pullback. But that being said, yours truly, BlackRock, went all in on the dip yesterday, buying Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I'm going to update you on the show as well. And exchanges are witnessing a Bitcoin accumulation demand that reaches its highest level ever. We're starting the time is ticking, guys. Like, we are reaching this shift in not only the cycle, but in the world, where people are starting to go into gear and wanting to own Bitcoin like never before. And, all of these corrections and things like that are going to look like blips on the radar. I'm serious when I say it. We have the map from Trip on ETH and Bitcoin as to where they could be going in the short term and medium term and long term. And we're just chilling. How you guys doing this Friday? Pipeline, what's up? What's up, Brian? What up? Better time. Okay, good. We're going to try to come to you at this time from now on. What up? Realized Bear Skull. Would not be opposed to a rare weekend rally. That's right. Weekends are tricky, but that'd be fun to have a weekend rally. Let's just have a party this weekend. What do you say? Dan, what's up? We're ready for a great stream as usual. Guys, hit the like button if you're having fun today and support the stream. That would be much appreciated. Buy Theta. Yeah, Magnus, what's up? Buy Theta. We're in accumulation zones. We're getting ready. We're building our entries. What's up, James? Good morning. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun, Dan, honestly, to be honest. Mimi's, good morning. Almanim, what's up? What's up? Johnny, Barabo, GM. Bloodbath today will be stronger again. Yes. Guys, I'm buying the dip on the coins I want to average into. And, it's just, I look at these as all opportunities in a bull run. And nothing has changed fundamentally. PPI did come out much higher than expected, which we're going to go over in the show. But that doesn't necessarily change the charts at all. In fact, I always say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news, right? And there were a lot of things happening as Bitcoin was crashing yesterday. And one of which was one of the biggest asset managers in the entire world, was buying up Bitcoin and Ethereum like no other. So I'm going to go over that news with you now, just so you can get a perspective on what's happening behind the scenes when you're seeing a lot of doom and gloom and fear in the news right now, and a lot of different narratives. That's very typical to pair with Bitcoin is correcting and Ethereum are correcting, right? So we've been talking about it on the show for a long time. Nothing new, but we're going to go over it all here. We're going to go over SEI and SUI today and a couple of requests from the group, as well as your requests. So if you have any requests for charting this Friday, let us know now so Trip can potentially get that ready. And I'm going to share my screen now, but first I want to show you this image. This is the demand, This is the demand for Bitcoin on exchanges, all-time high. I just love the way that sounds. Can't wait to have myself an ATH cocktail. I don't know about you. Let me know what you're drinking right now, what you guys are up to. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Alphas love red candles more than green because of the opportunity. I would agree with you, Dan. It's not that we don't want to go up, but man, it's like we know the time is ticking. We know the train's about to leave the station. And so every one of these dips presents an incredible opportunity, right? That's the way I look at it as well. As long as we're maintaining broader bullish structure, which we definitely are as of right now, then we should not be upset about the dips. The people who are upset about this are people who aren't tuning into this channel, who are just watching the news and getting shaken out because of all the stuff that they're hearing, right? So we don't want that to happen to you. Rebana, what is that? Is that a crypto? Just curious. Yeah, guys, let us know your requests in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from, what you're doing, what you're drinking. Yeah. I just want to check in with you on this fine Friday morning. Hope you guys are all doing well. So I'm going to take this down. I am going to shout out a stock, which we talked about in the group, which was epic. I'm going to post how it was before it took off. You may recognize it. You may not. ATNF. We do have a stocks channel as well. And we posted this in the group as a breakout entry. And before I show you what happened, I'm going to show you the news. So Ethereum Digital Asset Treasury 180 Life Sciences Corp rebranded to ETHZilla. It's a pretty crazy rebrand, right? Saw its share prices increase more than 90% as Peter Thiel had it become a shareholder, and he made that public. Wow. Okay, so this thing absolutely moon missioned. This is a stock, guys. So this is 1 day. What is this? I believe it's 1 day, 167%. Not bad. And we already had that in the group because of its technical indications. And then once the news came, this thing popped. It was already ready to pop. You see the correlation there. The charts often dictate what's happening, if not always, before the news. So yeah, this was some real alpha we shared with our members. We do have a stocks channel. We're actually crushing it in that stocks channel. We're having a lot of fun. We also got nailed BMNR, which is Bitmine, that also pivoted to an Ethereum strategy. So yeah, we're crushing it with that. And that's super exciting. Super exciting. So I'm going to get to some of the news, but Norway, Magnus. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize you were tuning in from Norway, but with the name like Magnus, I should have known because I know a lot of Swedes named Magnus. So very cool. So where will you cover X stocks? X stocks. You mean like stocks in general? We have a stock channel in our group, at which point I will take the time to remind you guys the sale is now, I believe, 5 days left. We've got a 20% off flash sale for our group, and that is for all the different channels. So we've got stocks, leverage, spot, and combos. So guys, don't hesitate to do that. We would love to have you hone in on those skills, invest in yourself. The group pays for itself if you just invest the minimum in learning. And we got some of the best setups here going on. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Enjoying the tip. Okay. I love your guys' mentality. I'm loving your energy, and you're bringing it in hot. And that's what it's all about. Showing up on these days is what's going to make you win in the long run. What's up, Unstoppable Bulls? X stocks are the ones you can buy with crypto. Okay, so you mean like tokenized stocks, the ones on Robinhood. Okay, got it. Yeah, we could cover some of those. Let us know what you want us to cover. Maybe we'll be able to get to it today on Solana and BNB. Right, got it. Okay, so yeah, let us know if you want us to cover any of those, and we'll do our best to accommodate. But first, there's some other stuff that's going on in the background that's also noteworthy. So I want to show you guys now. I'm just going to share my screen for a minute. Because I want you to see what is happening, because some of these things are pretty crazy. Right, so first up, this is the PPI news. It came in at 3.3% above expectations of 2.5%, and the data triggered an aggressive market reaction, leading to over 460 million in liquidations in the last hour. So yeah, stay cautious, but at the same time, you know the drill. You know the drill. If you're leverage trading, it's another thing. But if you're accumulating for spot, you just stick to your plan and do what you do on these sort of down days when we're in the red, right? This is what I was telling you about, that while everybody was panicking and the news was coming in like that, BlackRock went all in after that data, and they bought 520 million worth of Bitcoin and 500 million worth of ETH. That shows that the big money wants to buy the dips. So yeah, I mean that can't be seen any other way than bullish. So on another note, Trump is meeting with Putin in Alaska in about 3 hours to discuss this war. And we've got the Ukraine president Zelensky saying it's time to end the war. And this is bullish for the markets. Okay, yes, absolutely. Ending wars is always bullish for the markets. Let's see how this pans out. But yeah, the two are meeting in Alaska in T-minus 2 hours. And let's see if they can finally put an end to this and we can move on. Here we have tariffs raise import costs, and wholesaler retailers often hike markups to protect profits, pushing PPI services higher. Less foreign competition can also lift US-made goods prices, so both goods and services PPI can climb even without stronger demand. So this is sort of like macroeconomists trying to make sense of why the PPI came in higher than expected. Not just higher, quite a bit higher. So this guy is attributing it to tariffs. And yeah, on another note, we have that the Fed is looking to end the program that stepped up bank crypto oversight. So this is very good. This is very bullish. So overall, all in all, on a macro scale, we're getting that infrastructure and that framework in place. This takes time, but we're trending in a bullish direction, because look at this. Google tried to get out and say, hey, I want to regulate all these non-custodial wallets. And I want you guys self-custody wallets and everything that's on the Google App Store. And they try to get in front of that. It didn't work out. People complained about it. They backed up. Google got dethroned by Bitcoin as the 5th largest asset. And we're having a battle. We're having a war of the titans, right? Like all these old narratives and old school are trying to like claw away and grasp at anything they can to keep that order intact. But that's why I'm saying we're witnessing a shift on a massive macro scale. And yeah, don't fade that, because on a macro scale, we are insanely bullish, but you can't expect to have these massive change happens without any sort of ups and downs and bumps in the road, right? And that's just where we're at. But this is what I liked as well. I read that BlackRock is reportedly preparing to file for an HBAR spot ETF as early as Monday. I believe HBAR is going to fly this cycle, guys. I don't know. We haven't looked at a chart lately. Probably it's just like the rest, but I am looking to get more on this pullback because I'm very bullish on what HBAR is going to do this cycle. So I thought that was cool. And yeah, I'm going to go back to you guys now, see what's up. What do we got here? Also, they delayed the Sol ETF, which was frustrating. But all in all, guys, like the overall gist is that there's a lot of noise out there, and there's always doom and gloom reports and things to overshadow the more macro bullishness during these days. But you know what to do. You know the drill. Don't let it phase you. Just stick to your strategy, and we keep barreling on. Maybe a V-shaped recovery. Let's go, says Moon Mission. Realize Bear, will you ever see crypto actually decouple from traditional finance, or is it just a delusional dream? Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, traditional finance is becoming crypto now, right? Like BlackRock built these rails to be able to keep crypto within traditional financial rails to an extent, right? So I don't know that it's going to decouple in the way we think it will. I do think Bitcoin is going to start acting more like an ETF and just sort of like less volatility and more up and to the right. And we showed you what happened to gold after the gold ETF was launched. And it sort of feels like that's the way we're going to start going now. And we have a lot of indicators to show us that could be the case, right? So it's interesting times indeed. I'm in Marbella. Who's the Fiat list? What's up? Welcome to my city. Well, it's pretty cool, right? It's like vacation vibes here. It's a little paradise. That's so fun. I'm happy that somebody else is in Marbella. Chilling by the beachfront bar, drinking Stella. Now that's the life, Almanim. That's what I like to hear. You're not stressed out. You're not like looking at your portfolio 24/7. You're enjoying the show. Can't go wrong. I love it. I love it. I did say I was going to have an ATH cocktail today, but I didn't get around to making one before the show. But yeah, you can have it. You can have one for me. On that note, guys, I'm going to bring up Trip, and we're going to start our analysis. Trip, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, well, we're just looking at these dips, and people are trying to make sense of the PPI data and wondering what will happen on a macro scale. Will this affect rate cuts next month? And the short of it is potentially. But again, we don't need those rate cuts for Bitcoin to do what it's doing, right? And especially not if we're not, I mean, it's just going to continue to do what it's doing. And it could have done this without rate cuts. This is the point we're at in the cycle. This is the supply shock that's imminent. And there's so many different factors at play here that, like I said, I believe that the rate cuts, whenever they do happen, will be like putting alcohol on a fire, right? Like just gasoline on a fire. So yeah, so if we don't get the rate cuts next month, it's just patience, and Bitcoin will keep doing its thing. That's my opinion. But Trip, what do you say we get into some of that analysis?
Yep, sure, no problem. We're going to start with dominance again here.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, dominance just over the past couple of days, we've been forming this bottoming pattern here. This is the 30-minute chart for dominance. So you have an inverse head and shoulders that's just recently broke higher just over the past couple of hours so far. So altcoins have been taking a dip. Usually when dominance is going up while Bitcoin's pulling back, that's the worst case scenario for altcoins, but this is only a smaller time frame, so it's not a massive move that we're looking at quite yet. It's just this continuation of this pullback so far that we're experiencing. But if dominance was to keep climbing higher, maybe we get a move back up to test the 1 week 50 MA again. I would definitely expect altcoins to slow down their movement. Maybe they go into a consolidation or reaccumulation phase. It's just not the best time to be expecting big pumps out of altcoins, essentially, right? It's just not that part of the season. So again, these seasons, they could be a week long, they could be a couple of days. It's really a flexible word when I say the word season as far as dominance goes. And when I say alt season and Bitcoin season, it's it's usually relative to the chart that it's that we're charting, the time frame that we're charting. So as it looks for now, though, yeah, it doesn't look like the best time for altcoins. We need to see how this is going to perform. We need to see if it's going to come back down into the pattern and fake out this move. That would be the best case scenario. We're really just waiting for Bitcoin to lead the way, but right now it's Friday, and leading into the weekend, we often don't see a lot of big moves out of Bitcoin. It's pretty slow most of the time, so I don't expect much to happen, except that if dominance were to pull back or maybe range sideways for a bit, that could give altcoins a chance to run this weekend, but it's a little too early to tell.
Right. So will we get that fun weekend rally? We will see. If we do, we'll be keeping you updated on it around the clock in the group with those setups. So yeah, don't hesitate, guys. Today is the day. It's Friday. You've got the whole weekend to study, hole up, watch the videos, learn them inside and out. And yeah, Unstoppable says we have 5 out of 6 wins on leverage and HBAR while it's sideways. Yeah, so you can trade ranges with leverage. That's the beauty of it. So if you learn that skill, you'll be able to have like a lot more opportunities to trade different market conditions than you would just buying and holding or spot trading, right? So it is a whole new skill set that you can do a lot more with. So yeah, it's very exciting. Do check that out. Links in the description. Smash the like button. Guys, it's Friday. Let's keep the energy high. And let's check out what Bitcoin's doing.
Okay, so this is Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. We talked about this idea yesterday with this large ascending triangle that's being built. So right now we were looking for the 200 MA to hold. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. So the 4-hour 200 MA was acting as local support. Now we've kind of breached below it a little bit. We're really just following this range. So this whole range on the left side here is just basically a large support range. They had bounces that came below support and then some that bounced off of it. Some had a bear trap below that level. So it's not a perfect flat line price that we're trying to hold in this range. So I'm not doubting that we're going to move around and probably wiggle around that 200 MA on the 4-hour here. At least in the short term, we have some longer wicks on the bottom of these candles. So that's usually some buying pressure is what it's showing. So as it goes for now, Bitcoin's still trying to find its footing here. We could also anticipate that it comes down to the 0.272 level at around 116,420. And that would just pretty much line up with this rising trend line here for the ascending triangle trend line. So as it looks right now, Bitcoin doesn't look amazing. It's not really a place where I would be entering with big positions, but you can definitely start scaling in here, and then you'd have your stop loss basically below this trend line. Maybe give it a little extra room to avoid some wicks if you get some nasty wicks down there. But as it stands right now, it's fairly neutral. Don't have a lot of confirmation except that we're below the 4-hour 200 MA. This isn't a massive deal because last time we were back here, we broke below the 4-hour 200 MA and made a double bottom and came right back up, turned it into support again. So we could have that same kind of scenario happening in the future, maybe over the weekend or at least the next week for Bitcoin.
All right, so keep an eye out for that and let that amazing trade come to you. Don't try to get lost in the chop or wicked out here. That's a potential scenario that we're looking at. So you have all of the details now. Keep an eye on this chart, guys. And yeah, in the meantime, let's continue on with the analysis. Oh, Megan Moss is in the house. I didn't see you earlier. What's up? What's up? You're keeping your head in the game. I like it. I like it.
Right, so this is the Bitcoin one-day chart, just zoomed out a little bit, bigger picture. So this bigger pattern is still in play. This retest that we had happened was a successful retest. The only thing that's a little bit of cause for concern at the moment is this is technically a bull trap above the 1.272 fib resistance level. So Bitcoin kind of needs to do a little work to regain that level, at least in the short term. As we just talked about, though, we have a very bullish pattern on these slightly lower time frames. This is a 4-hour chart, and again, this is the daily. So I would give it a chance here to at least build that structure that we're looking for. But as it looks right now, it's not, again, it's not the strongest place to be entering. I would like to see some more signals or some better confirmation, at least coming over the next week, like we just talked about for Bitcoin. But the bigger picture still looks bullish. You're still making these higher highs, right? This is still a higher high than this previous high. This low is still higher than this previous low. So we're hoping that if we do make a low here, we're hoping that it's also higher than this previous low. And then you can't really argue with it. The uptrend is still intact as far as we can see.
Right. So that's just how it works. You zoom in, you zoom out, sorry, to look at the one day, then you zoom into the 4-hour, you check out where Bitcoin's at, and you just keep tabs, guys. This is sort of dictating what's happening in the market right now and Bitcoin dominance. So kind of all eyes are on that. But that's the update there. So you know what to look for now. You've got the information, and yeah, it's just a waiting game. So we're just going to be patient because we've been patient. We've been patient enough, right? We can wait a few more days to a few more weeks to whatever it takes for this next big move to happen.
Yeah, so just over the past week too, we had this CME gap forming on the BTC1 with the exclamation point. This is just the Bitcoin CME futures chart. So after this gap formed, we've come all the way back down. And previously, when we hit this level just a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I guess, we didn't quite fill the gap all the way with this candle. Sorry if the mouse is in the way. Let's try to zoom in a little bit again. So this wick that came down didn't really fill the gap 100%. So now we've come back down a second time, and this gap is for sure filled at this point. So this level at the bottom of the gap is now acting as support for the CME chart. So this is another idea that we're adding to add confluence to the idea that a bounce could be coming sooner than later. Again, you have these really long bottom wicks that just shows that there's buying pressure again at that level. So we do have a slightly bullish edge here, but we do want to see a little more structure here forming before we get too aggressive or too bullish, right? If I were to zoom out a little bit, some people might be calling this, this structure here a head and shoulders. And that's true. It technically is a head and shoulders. You have a high, you have your higher high, and over here is a very smaller sized lower high potentially. We have to see if we get that reversal here. Otherwise, we could have a short-term bearish scenario playing out. But again, this isn't the only thing we're looking at. You have to compare it to the bigger picture of what's happening. And we're also focused on this long-term, or sorry, the 4-hour ascending triangle lower trend line to hold as support. So all these ideas are coming together, and we're going to find out really soon if the bears are going to take control or if the bulls still have control in this idea.
All right. Well, let's see what happens, guys. All eyes on Bitcoin, and now we're going to head over to Ethereum. Let's see what's going on with ETH.
Yeah, not a lot of difference from yesterday. We still hit this resistance at the 1.272, close to, I think it was right at about 47.77. Really close to 4,800, just below it. So the all-time high for Ethereum is 48.68. We haven't broken a new all-time high. I was actually expecting, that when Bitcoin made its new high recently, that ETH was going to follow and also make a new high or a new all-time high in the same day, and that would have been pretty cool to see. But it seems like the market's already been cooling down just before that could have happened. As far as it looks now, though, ETH is just having a normal correction. We've had a bunch of these, few red candles on the way up. Again, my strategy for this, or my outlook for, I should say, for Ethereum hasn't really changed at all. I think it's just a pullback, and we're probably going to see continuation to the upside soon.
Right. Yeah. So we're just cooling off, guys. There's been a lot of heat on ETH lately. We're cooling off before potentially breaking through all-time highs, and that's it. Nothing has changed on the bigger structure, the bigger picture here. So yeah, potentially you have some time to just go out and touch some grass or accumulate or do whatever you want to do. But yeah, it'll give you some breathing room before we start the next bigger moves. So yeah.
Yep. And yeah, SEI, the next one we're up, our next altcoin we're looking at. So we're looking for a breakout entry for this trade setup here. The breakout entry is about 37 cents or so, and the point of control is now below the price action along with the 200 MA. So we're expecting these levels to hold as support if we do come back down to test these levels. Potentially, again, if Bitcoin goes the opposite direction of what our plan is, we're going to be flipping to shorting opportunities. So potentially this point of control and the 200 MA could turn into the breakdown levels, and then we potentially trade this down to the bottom of the range locally to maybe as low as 16 cents. So that'd be a pretty good move if that happens. But as it looks right now, it has broken above these major resistance levels, and it's holding so far. So SEI, you could probably set an alert at the breakout entry. Again, that number is about 37 cents. So if you wanted to catch this move to the upside, setting alerts is going to be the easiest way to do it. You're just looking for a break above with some decent volume when that happens, and you want to see a candle close above this level. You have to remember too that we're still forming these bottoms, right? So we're not making this kind of a move at a top. We're still basically at these bottoms rounding upwards. So I think there's still some room to go to the upside here. It hasn't really invalidated any bullish, ideas yet. But if we do come down and break below that point of control, that would be something I would be a little cautious about as far as going long. And then to confirm that break would be below that 200 MA on the daily. So there is a bearish idea creeping up, but the market has a way of surprising us with coming up with bounces out of nowhere or bounces where you wouldn't normally expect them. And again, most of the time, it's just going to be a matter of what Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin does get the bounce that we're looking for back here, back to this chart, around in this area, and I would still expect SEI to bounce just the same. Maybe you get another bounce on the point of control, and then you'd have a double bottom scenario that you can also enter into on this support if that happens.
Right. No, actually, this ties into Traveler 88's question. Do you guys always enter after the breakout? And that's a really good question that I want to address, because actually, I always say on the stream that some of my favorite entries are on support on the bottoms of the patterns or ascending trend lines. And Trip covers all of that in the group. We post support buys, right? Trip, if you want to expound on this idea, because we're showing you certain setups here on YouTube, but that's not always everything that we're posting in the group either. So maybe you can give them a rundown of the different types of posts.
Yeah, so like there's breakout entries and then there's support entries. When you're buying a breakout entry, you're looking for a break above a resistance, and then you're adding your position or opening your position when it comes down to test that level. And it's basically the new support that you've created, right? So you're always breaking a level, flipping it into support, and then you enter on that retest, which is still buying on support, but it's a new support level. You didn't have it before. So really that's all we're mostly focused on, is buying support entries. It could be at the bottom of a pattern that's already been established as a support level, or it could be the break above the level and then a retest, but it's still a support entry. But one thing we focus on the most is if you're going to buy a support entry, you want a little more data than just it's a support level, I should buy here. So I'm looking for oversold conditions and bullish divergences all the time when I'm looking for those support entries. You're not going to get bullish divergence if you don't make lower lows, right? So for example, back here, this made a lower low after making this low, right? And then if you come back afterwards, you see that this support was held basically in this area again. So this move would have caught you unless you had some bullish divergence show up. Then it would have said, now you can enter into this trade because that bullish divergence and those oversold conditions are backing up that bounce that we're expecting. So again, it's not always just breakout to the upside. It's always buying support, whether it's a new support or an already established support level.
Right. Yeah. And there's an art to buying the support as well, like Trip says, especially if you're going in with leverage. You need to wait for those oversold conditions and bullish divergence oftentimes before you get the better entries. So it all depends on what you're doing and what your strategy is, what type of trading you're doing. But yeah, of course, we post a lot of support entries in the group, and those are obviously the best kind if you can get them. But also we keep these posted for you here in YouTube so you can have your alerts set, because can you explain a little bit about what is actually happening when they break above these breakout entries, Trip?
How do you mean? Sorry.
I mean, like, it's a whole shift in the structure, right? So it's a little bit easier than trying to figure out where the stock is going to settle, or say it's starting to break bullish again. So just the idea, the psychology behind that bullish breakout.
Oh, okay. Well, really, you're looking for a breakout with volume, right? The volume confirms the move because everyone else is watching the same idea. So a lot of sellers are going to stack their orders to take profit at a certain level. And then once the sellers get exhausted, that's how a breakout occurs. It means that there's more buyers willing to pay a higher price than there are for sellers that are trying to take profit at a specific level.
Right. So these are things just to keep in mind, the psychology behind these breakout levels, and all the different levels that you're seeing on YouTube and all the different recommendations when you're going to go into a trade. It's important to keep these macro elements and this understanding in mind, right? So yeah, we have a request from Midas Mindset to go over HBAR. Maybe you got excited by seeing that BlackRock is potentially going to file an ETF. I'm very bullish on HBAR. So if we have time at the end of the stream, we will do so, Midas. Sui, let's go.
Okay, Sui, I think we talked about this chart recently as well. We had drawn this ascending triangle. I think we had mentioned that if you get a pullback to this lower trend line, that could be an aggressive entry idea here if you get that bounce on this lower trend line. But otherwise, we're still waiting for this break above the ascending triangle. It's still a very bullish pattern, in my opinion. The breakout entry would be around $4.31. And then we're just moving up our targets to about $5.36. And then the 1.272 is moving to the fib extensions beyond this previous previous high. That's around $6.36. 1.618 is around $7.62, and the 2.0 is as high as $9 for SUI. So we still have a little more room to go, but I think if you zoom into this area, you're going to look for double bottom, some kind of bottoming pattern, maybe falling wedges. Again, this is a one-day chart, so on the 15-minute chart, there's going to be a lot of data. Let's take a look actually just to see how it looks right now. Okay, so on the 50-minute chart, we haven't come down all the way to this trend line yet. We're still holding support at this level. One thing we don't want to see is a triple top. I know this is a very odd looking triple top, but this could potentially be your left shoulder and then your spiked head and then your right shoulder again. So there is a bearish idea that we're still struggling with in the market at the moment for a lot of these coins. So if you were to add on this lower trend line, I would do it with caution, add a little bit, and then just have your stop loss below that trend line a little bit. If that entry fails, don't worry about it. There's always another trade. It's better to take a 2 to 3, maybe 5% loss, and then you're hoping for a 20-40% move to the upside. So as long as you're mitigating your risk, then this could be a really good entry, or it could be a small entry that you take a small loss on. So that's the risk you have to gamble with, right? But as it looks right now, we're still waiting for Bitcoin, as we said, to make that decision. And then we'd be expecting some kind of bounce coming from SUI, as the market usually does follow Bitcoin.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So what do we have next? We've got requests from the group, from the trading group, right? This is SUI again. Yeah.
Yeah, we have ALCX as requested. So I pulled up this chart, and actually we do have some bullish ideas here. It's broken above the 200 MA on the daily and this trend line that's been trending lower. So the entries here is you could add on the retest entry. So this is actually what we were just talking about from the question someone asked. Are you only buying breakout entries? And yeah, you can do both in this scenario, right? So you're buying current support at this level. If you wanted to add a horizontal line just to show this support level as well as a horizontal line, and I'll zoom in a bit for you. All right, so now this level that we broke above, it's flipping it into support at the moment. So you're still buying on support, but it's the retest after a break. So you can add a little bit of your position here. And what we tend to do in the group is scale in. So maybe you add 25% of the position that you want to enter into this trade in this area. If you get a bit of a bounce, maybe you can add a little bit more. And then once you confirm the breakout above this major resistance level at the top, then you can keep adding to that position. So again, you would add on the break itself maybe, and then hopefully if you get a retest, you can add the rest of your position to that level. So as far as it goes, ALCX looks pretty good. We're going to look at the measured move here in a second. So the first target we're looking at is as high as $16, and the next one around $21, and then $27. If we measure those moves here from the current price or this retest area, you're looking at about 170% move for ALCX. So a lot of altcoins are starting to look like this. You had this previous left side bump, and they all came down to form new lows. But this is a great opportunity because it means you have that much more to go back up for profit. So this is one of the best times to be in the market, in my opinion. Just because you get to ride that move to the upper resistance level. And then if it does pull back again, you would just exit in this area. If it breaks higher, just re-enter. If it pulls back, you sold the top, right? So it works both ways. You could hold and hope that it's going to go higher, or you would just wait until that breakout and re-enter your position. I mean, you're going to be missing maybe 2 to 3, maybe 5% if you were to sell here and then get back in on the break and retest. But does that really matter when you're looking at 40% or 170% moves? You start to care very little about those small percentage moves by exiting your position and getting back in when you look at the bigger profit potential of that trade.
Right. I love the strategy involved there of just riding the wave, playing that range. If it comes back down, you can play it again. Or if it breaks above, you just get back in after taking profits. I mean, these are the things that like you should keep in mind in order to take your trading to the next level, in order to compound your profits. They're all things to sort of add to your toolkit, right? Of when you're planning out your moves and your strategies. I love that one so much. And I was smiling before because Raw Food Writer came in hot. Let's go. He's having a party, champagne popping bottles, celebrating this dip, which is the kind of mentality that I like to have as well. So much appreciated, Raw Food Writer. We love your energy here.
Right, and this is another request from the group as well. This is Pendle. This is actually one we watched for a little while. I think at the beginning of the year or so. It was just coming back into a downtrend at the time, so we didn't pay too much attention to it then. But since we've had this bottom form, we've broken above that 200 MA, turned it back into support here, and now we've broken above the 0.618 fib level for this range, and also retesting that level as a support as well. These fib levels seem to be very well respected. You had a really nice bounce down here at the 272, another really nice bounce at the 382. You got rejected at the 618, moved up to the 786, pulled back to the 618. So these fibs seem to be very well respected. You could look for a retest entry on the 618 here, or you could look for a break above the 0.786. And again, you could enter a portion of your position on the pullback at this level, or you can add it again once it's broken above the 0.786 level again. The 618 level is around $4.94, pretty much $5. And then you're looking for a move to probably the top of the range around $6.88. If this key resistance level were to break, then you can look at these higher targets that we've got on the chart. These are the fib extensions that go to the 1.272 at about $8.26. 1.618 at about $10, and then the 2.0 is $11, pretty much $12 for Pendle for the measured move of this range to the top here. So if we were to do a quick measurement just to see what the profit potential could be from the 0.618, you have another very delicious move at about 140% or so.
Nice. I'm loving this setup as well. So you guys are getting the alpha today. If you like that, smash the like button. Yeah, we're so happy to be here with you this Friday morning / afternoon for, who was it? Fiatless in Marbella. You know, it's happy hour time here. It's about 7:15, a little bit later. But yeah, we're getting ready for an amazing weekend, guys. Amazing weekend. Now we are going to be taking some requests. First up, we had Real Ice Bear, who is one of our regulars. Requested SXT.
Okay, just give me a moment to pull up HBAR here. I'm just trying to find this chart.
Okay, all right. So pulling up HBAR and SXT. Let's have a look at those. But yeah, now is the time to think about how you're going to get positioned, where you're going to buy the dip, with how much percentage. Sort of like just take some time to bunker down and figure that out, right? Because now is a great opportunity to do so. And you know, who knows, we don't get these kind of like, well, we do get these pullbacks and bull runs, but they are for buying, man. I mean, the dips and bull runs are for buying in general. So keep an eye on all these charts and set your alerts, guys. First up, we've got STX. Let's see what's happening here.
SXT, was that right?
SXT, sorry.
Okay, no, just making sure I got the right one. Okay, so we're going to start on the daily chart here. There's not a whole lot of price action here, right? So I tend to stay away from these charts until I have more historical data. It's just not a lot to base your trade off of at this point, but the point of control up here is around 13 cents. I'm going to see if I can pull another range down for the bottom. Actually, I'm going to start from this level to catch this bank of resistance. Just to see where we end up. Okay, so now we're pretty much forming this volume profile right in this area, and we're below that price or below that level at the moment for this point of control for this local range. It's not the best position to be in. We're going to look at the 1 day 200 MA. Probably doesn't even have 200 candles yet. Doesn't look like it. Let's see if we can go see the 4-hour chart for the 200 MA. So we'll add the 4-hour in. Okay, so you got some confluence of resistance at the moment. You had a bit of a wick up. I'm turning the volume back on here really quick too. You did have a little bit of an increase in volume. Now we're going to zoom into the 4-hour to see how much that volume really was. So it looked like one 4-hour candle had that volume spike so far, but it wasn't able to hold above that level. The point of control is still resistance at around 0.08 or 8.5 cents or so. The 200 MA on 4-hour is pretty much at the same level at 0.884 or 0.0884, I should say. So the way it looks right now, you still need to confirm that break above these resistance levels before I would consider a long entry. You're still just kind of weaving around it. Like if you look previously back here, it didn't really hold that level so well. And it's been tricky if you were trying to trade as just that one level of support. The one I can see back here was this support as well, or this resistance at the time. And we've still been pretty much holding that level pretty consistently so far. It doesn't look like the most amazing setup in my opinion. Maybe there's a chance, like the only thing I can really see happening here is, I'm just going to erase all of this stuff just to clarify it. The bullish idea that I could see is maybe a cup and handle, because you do have a higher low sort of a swing over here. It's not the best, right? So I don't like forcing patterns too much either, but we can try to fit some ideas in just to see where we could be going. So I'll draw them in here really quick. Yeah, it doesn't look amazing, right? I'm trying to fit something. It feels like I'm forcing it at this point. So right now, as far as SXT goes, I think you're still just looking for that break above the 2 MA and the point of control that we talked about. The first resistance, though, is probably up to this high. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Let's clear this off the chart really quick. And if you do break above the 11.5 cent mark, then you're probably moving up to this level around 14.4 cents. And maybe up to this most prominent high here at the candle close, closer to 15 cents. So yeah, again, I would probably pick something else to trade that has a little more definitive price structure. Otherwise, yeah, you're just waiting for that break above those key resistances, because it's not a good time to enter when you've just broken below and just had a fake out above those key levels.
Right. Yeah. So all of that, the way that Trip went about those charts is ways that you guys can approach the charts as well. So it's fun to be able to watch them do it live. Traveler88 says, do you guys look at seasonality? September typically sells off a lot. Thoughts? Yeah, like people have been talking about that a lot. They've been saying that August is typically a green month after the halving. What would you say about that, Trip?
I've seen those charts. They label all the months red or green, right? And then you have all the different ones. To me, it's still random. I don't think it's enough to base a trade on, essentially. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of red months and a bunch of green months. Some years are going to have more green months than red months in different places. Sometimes September is green, but most of the time it's red. How do you know if this is going to be another green or red month, though? I mean, you're just basically saying that out of 10 times, it did it 7 times. But could this be that one time that it doesn't do it? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a gamble still. It still seems fairly random. In my opinion, though, the market's moving because of global liquidity. So whether or not it's September, October, November, it's the global liquidity chart that's really moving the markets anyways.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's an interesting analysis. Maybe not to put as much weight on that as just what basically the charts are telling you, right? So we're selling off now because PPI data came in hot, but also because we're at resistance in the charts, So like maybe take it with a grain of salt, and let's just keep an eye on these levels and see how Bitcoin does. That would be our best bet, is just to track what's happening in real time with the price action, right?
Right. Yeah, like I don't look at most of that stuff just because it influences how I look at the charts. I would rather look at the charts first and then compare what I see on the charts to the news that's coming out, not the other way around. I think when you have a narrative, you try to fit the narrative to fit your chart. But in my opinion, the narrative comes out because of what the charts are doing. So then it's like, let's tell ourselves a story about what the charts are doing for us to feel more comfortable with this narrative. I just think it's a backwards way to do it, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. So we look at things a little bit differently on this channel, which is something that I love. And I wanted to share that with you guys and make sure that you get, as much insight as you possibly can here on YouTube. Of course, we're doing it 24/7 in the trading group. But yeah, these lives, we really do want to come to you as much as we can now in a bull market to help get you prepared and hopefully to get you to join the team. And if not, just to tune in with us every day, check in and build a community. So yeah, it's been amazing so far. HBAR. Now this was for, who was this for? Somebody requested HBAR. So we're going to go over HBAR now. Let's see what's up with HBAR.
Yep. So this is another chart that we posted in the trading group saying to accumulate in this green box. I think we'd also posted this in one of our lives previously too. So the reason why we entered or had a green box entry is because we didn't have a really solid pattern to trade in this area. So the key thing here is that you're just entering on pullbacks to the support range. If it breaks below that support, you just have your stop loss to manage that risk. I'm just going to get rid of this little thing for a moment, and then we're just going to see what the risk would look like. So for a long position in this area, if you were to pull it down to give it a little bit of room in that range, you're basically looking at about maybe a 7% risk. So that's how much you could lose if it were to break below that support level. But if you're right about the idea, then even just up to this 2.0 level, That's about a 38% move. And then to the top of the range up here, if it does manage to get back to these highs, that's still an 80% move. So again, it's all about that risk versus reward ratio. I'm willing to lose 7% in this trade in order to make 79% potentially. So again, HBAR right now, we're still sticking to that plan to accumulate in this area. If something changes, well, obviously we'll let you guys know if that happens. Bitcoin would need to break down from its bigger pattern for HBAR to invalidate this bullish scenario. So again, we go back to the Bitcoin chart, see what it's doing. It hasn't broken below this trend line yet, so it's still that time to accumulate and assume that it's going to stay within this range, and it's just another buying opportunity. So we're going to treat HBAR with that same angle. Essentially, you're just buying the dips and then hoping that, or assuming that Bitcoin's going to stay within that range on support as well.
Right. No, I like that. I like that sort of juxtaposition with Bitcoin and HBAR. If it were to break the support, it would mean that something is going differently on Bitcoin than expected, and it's time to reevaluate, right? So that's sort of like the idea to have when going into these trades.
That's exactly it, right? Bitcoin is the leader of the market. Most of my charts on the screens that I have 5 screens, and I have 3 charts or 3 screens dedicated to just Bitcoin. I don't make a move on altcoins unless I know exactly what Bitcoin is doing. So if I don't get these oversold conditions with bullish divergence on multiple time frames for Bitcoin, I'm not going to start jumping into altcoins with a so-so idea that may play out. I like to have a really good edge, right? So I'm looking for the most amount of signals possible, tons of confluence. I want the charts to scream at me that they're bullish instead of saying, maybe, right? I don't want a maybe setup. I want something strong that I can be proud to be like, look at all these indicators that are doing this now. If I don't have that stuff, I don't want to put my money on it, right?
Right. No, it makes sense. And so that's all about letting the good trades come to you, sticking to the plan, not trying to force stuff, and just, continuing to be cool, calm, and collected about it. I like to say it because it's true. And so that's it, guys. Like, this is what we're looking at. Let's see if we get a weekend rally. If not, then we'll be buying those dips, accumulating these green box zones that we've mapped out for you in the group, and just getting ready for another amazing week, right? And we'll see what September brings. But all we know, all in all, is that macro, we are very bullish, and things are just getting more and more bullish on a macro level, especially with infrastructure, regulation, and all of that. So at the point we're at in the market, yeah, things are definitely heating up, and time is ticking here. So yeah, it's really fun to go over all this. Trip, do you have any last words before we wrap this up?
Nothing too amazing. Like I said, we're going into a weekend, so I'm not really expecting a whole lot of movement. Bitcoin could move mostly sideways with some bounces along the way, but the way it looks right now, still, it's a bit risky. I think we're still sort of maybe 60-40 as far as bullish to bearish, but that could change very quickly. So we need to be cautious about our entries at this moment.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. Realize Bear says, awesome, Trip. Thanks for the TA. And yeah, if you have any questions, any doubts, you've been trying to figure things out, you want us to chart things, get ready for Monday's stream. All right. Have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see you guys all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.